Well, we'll come on to the Premiership action in a minute, but there's been a fair amount coming out of the RFU over the past week in the aftermath of the Six Nations. It appears the RFU succession planning for Eddie Jones is underway, and apparently the new head coach will be named before the 2023 World Cup and will be English. Plus, there's a plan in place in case Eddie leaves before the World Cup. Goody, your thoughts?
I'm at odds with it, really. We spoke about last week, the absolute PR disaster for me after the France defeat, where they've come out and said the RFU, a faceless person from the RFU, a spokesperson, has said we're happy with the solid progress that the team's made. And we called it out last week. We spoke about it, didn't we? And other pundits and other people have called it out as well. So I think this press conference that they called by Bill Sweeney was very reactionary to the absolute disaster that they put out the week before. And again, I'm going to throw it out there. I think it's ridiculous what they've said, like absolutely crazy. So and I said it last week, all they should have said is we're not happy with where we're at. Obviously, we're 2 wins out of 5, but we're backing Eddie Jones to the hill. You don't need to go any further. Like, we're going to do a review. Okay, put some findings out. But if you'd have just been solid and said we're backing Eddie Jones to the World Cup, and hopefully we get back on the horse when we play Australia in the summer, bang, you're done. Then, you come out with a ridiculous statement last week. Then he holds a 1-hour press conference and he's talking about, this new coach is going to be in place prior to the World Cup. Basically you're cutting down every option that you've got, except for they've got an Englishman, and I'll tell you what's going to happen. They've got an Englishman that can coach under Eddie Jones, that will be available before the World Cup. Steve Borthwick is literally the only person that has not. There's a reason Steve Borthwick left England to go and get head coaching experience, and that was to take over from Eddie Jones. Now, any coach, like you think of, if you go after the biggest coaches in the world, who would England want to be as their head coach? Well, it should be, who's the best coach in the world? We are the biggest union, so let's go and get the best coach in the world somehow. Be that Scott Robertson from New Zealand, be that Sean Edwards, be that Warren Gatland, be that any name you want to chuck out there. But basically what he's saying is he's got to be English. And I'm patriotic, and I'm happy that they're going down that route. But if he's the 6th best coach, whoever this English person is in the world, well, why aren't we going after the best? Like, Sean Edwards is an ultimate Englishman. He's openly said he likes long-term employment. He ain't coming to England before the World Cup, is he? He's got a contract with France. So you basically said, no, we don't want Sean Edwards. And so I think it's a ridiculous statement. And it's really bad PR again, because they're kind of saying that whoever comes in is going to be English, is going to work under Eddie Jones. No one wants to work under Eddie Jones, really, do they? And any good coach worth their salt is going to be in a contract. And so the only thing that I can think of is Steve Borthwick gets to the end of his coaching contract at Leicester Tigers at the end of 2023 season. So you're talking June next year, and he can then work under Eddie Jones. It's flabbergasting for me. It basically says Eddie Jones is named his successor. Shouldn't have anything to do with Eddie Jones. Like, it should be, here's our plan. Eddie's going to the World Cup, and we will make noises in the background around who we want, and we're going to go after them. You can get people to sign a pre-contract. So you can go and get a Sean Edwards, but he'll start after the World Cup. And by the way, Sean, you can sign that £1 million contract a year, whatever it is, for 4 years. But it's just ridiculous what they've done. I really do think it. And to say he's going to be working with Eddie at the 2023 World Cup, someone mentioned that France did it with Jim's mate, Fabien Galtier, at the last World Cup. Well, all the players are like that. Who do we listen to? Do we listen to the coach now, the coach next year? I just think it's a crazy situation. And again, very bad management from Bill Sweeney as CEO of the RFU.
Galtier got sacked as well from Toulon and Montpellier. So that's why he had the time, because that's the point, isn't it, Goody, that you're making? That really any decent coach is under contract, as in good and proper. And out of all of them, I know Borthwick's been thrown about, and look, he's done a fantastic job with Leicester, the top of the league. So the proof's in the pudding. I'd be not flabbergasted. Well, I'd be gutted for Leicester if they lost him that quickly. It's a big call for him as well, as such a young coach, because, as you know, any international coach, unless you win a World Cup, doesn't end well, especially if you're England coach. We've seen that. Well, look at all the last England coaches. Tell me which one's ended well. Well, it hasn't. There's only one man for the job, and it's fucking smash him. There is no better man to take the reins in terms of experience, in terms of energy, in terms of the public not one person, English, Welsh, Scottish, Irish, German, is batting an eyelid. Everyone knows that he is the right man. If you're talking English, he is the right man for the job. I cannot think of anyone else. Gatland's getting thrown about. Well, it's a stopgap, isn't it, until the All Blacks? So that's speaking for him. But I imagine that's the case. Scott Robertson, same. Like, he'll come over for a bit. He wants to coach the All Blacks. I'm sure he's on their list of coaches that are in line. I saw Richard Cockrell out on his bike, put on a bit good. He actually thought it was you riding your bike past me earlier today.
Did he have the horn?
He didn't even look at me. He's English now, isn't he? So I loved it when I think he came on the podcast, didn't he? And he was saying we, talking about Scotland. I absolutely loved it, but he's English now. No other man. If they're talking about it now, I don't know why you'd say we'll bring him in now. It's just, this is Ruggers, isn't it, at the minute? This is Ruggers. If in doubt, just do what Will Smith did and just break down and cry on TV and just say, I'm sorry, I'm sorry.
Slap someone first, though, right?
Hey, Chris Rock took it well, didn't he? Do you think you would have taken that, Andrew? I am legend or what?
It's obviously a setup, isn't it? In my opinion.
No,
Really?
no chance.